Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 110 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by my brother from the same mother, Lester Jones.
Hey, everybody.
And let's see, who else do we got here? It's none other than the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, eating pussy by the mile like it's going out of style, the clam slurping, tuna burping, no matter how tired, no matter how hurt, forget about water, he only drinks squirt, the phenomenal A.J. Singh.
Man, eating pussy by the mile. Like, that means my entire intestinal tract is full of pussy juice.
You got a tongue of steel, man. Well, for you good people out there, we're going to be giving you our obligatory review of She-Hulk episode 4 later. But we will save that till later in case anyone's weary of spoilers. But you guys been watching or doing anything else of note this week?
Just watch more Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Continues to be a hilarious show. I love it.
What platform is that on?
Netflix.
Netflix.
Yeah. And also just recently laughing at Twitter jokes about the Queen dying. People are going in, man. It's hilarious.
I even, like, for a brief minute was like, is there a joke I could make about... But then I was like, I couldn't think of anything good. It was like...
That bitch was old.
There was one where, like, Kobe and the Queen meet each other, and he, like, crosses her over, and she's just laying on the ground because she, like, fell over, basically. It's just funny, man. But British people are upset. Like, they're letting people know, like, hey, that was our queen. That's messed up. Which makes it more fun.
I feel like a lot of people are, rest in peace, you were such a beautiful person. I was like, I had no opinion about the queen whatsoever. I was like, oh, yeah, she's a queen.
Yeah. She's someone who was born on third base.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so weird. Like, I don't know, like, I would be pissed if we had a royal family. You know, it's like, I'd be like, can we be done with this now? This bullshit.
Like, I hate Congress, and they're at least pretending to do their jobs. Like, the Queen is just literally just living off taxpayer money. Like, hey, just driving by, waving at them, and everything. It's almost condescending and disrespectful.
The only thing I heard that I guess would kind of be a boon is that all the, like, royal family shit, like, you know, it brings in more tourism dollars than, like, whatever the government spends on them or whatever.
It's possible.
I don't think that's going to be the case anymore, though. Like, now that...
Oh, they lost their star.
Yeah, she was kind of like their big go-getter. Like, I don't know. Now that they got, what's his name? Prince Charles?
Charles, yeah.
I don't think he's as...
He's not going to be around for long, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like this interim guy that's going to die in a couple years.
Yeah, he's like 80 already.
And then it'll be what, Prince William or King William? I don't know how the fuck that works.
I don't know how it works either. We'll see.
All of our British listeners are like, they don't know. They don't get it.
Americans really don't know anything about other countries.
Yeah.
It's all true.
It's true. If a Marvel show doesn't go into a history lesson about it, I'm not going to learn.
Right.
Unless one of those women straps a freaking old Jack across her ass, so, like, we're out.
Well, there's
Captain Britain.
Captain Britain, yeah. That's the only British history I know.
We'll see, like, Henry Cavill, like, wearing a Union Jack Speedo.
Old one-eyed Jack.
They said he might be, not Sentry, but...
Wonder Man, I think they were talking about.
Okay, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
But, I mean,
I don't think I've heard of Wonder Man, but when they call people white bread, you know... That's what I would think of Wonder Man. Wonder Man.
Yeah, he's a weird character in the comics. He's like an actor, but I think he's also like, well, in the comics anyway, like somehow, like, even though Vision's a robot, he's like somehow related to Vision, I think, in the comics. It's a weird fucking thing. I don't really understand
I
it.
thought he was like the male Wonder Woman, like from a Greek island or something.
No, although they do have Hercules, you know.
Oh right, yeah.
But no, he's a weird character. I don't really fully understand him, but I think they're gonna do a show with him at some point.
Okay. I mean, it's casual.
It's not something I'm excited about, but
Yeah.
it's apparently maybe in the works.
Waiting for like Milk and Cheese to come out. This is some random 90s comic.
Is that a real comic?
I think so.
Milk and Cheese. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Like some independent thing.
Do you remember like the Max or the Scud?
I do remember the Max.
Yeah, the Max. That was definitely, that had that 90s like disgruntled teen angst feel to it.
You know, because MTV for a while had that like liquid television with like Aeon Flux and stuff like that. And I think they had a Max like cartoon. I don't think I ever really watched it, but I think they did have it. Did you ever read the Max comics? I never did. Like he's
I read
a character.
Some of them. I don't know if I read all.
He's like one of those characters I'm aware of. I just never. I think he did at some point have a crossover with Batman too. That's I think supposed to be pretty terrible, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, I don't remember much.
You
I
ever,
vaguely feel like he was like some girl's imaginary friend or something almost. I don't know. I'm probably remembering very poorly.
It could be. I don't really know.
did you used to watch Eon Flux?
It's one of those things where if I did, I have like no memory of it.
Yeah, same here. I remember like
Trying
the
to see
intro
some
to
titties.
it. I never got into that show. Like, I don't think I've ever watched a whole episode of it.
I remember in college I watched the Charlize Theron movie, which isn't very good.
Oh, right.
Seems like it was supposed to be like a pretty like trippy show.
Yeah, I think that's what their whole thing was. Just, I'd never got into the writing. I don't know.
How did you said you watched at least like the pilot of the Lord of the Rings show?
Well, I watched the first episode.
Yeah. So how did you feel about it? Because like online, it seems like a lot of people are having issues with it.
Well, a lot of people hate the kind of wokeness that's kind of forced in. Visually, it's pretty amazing. There are some characters I liked.
Well, I thought people like hardcore Lord of the Rings people were just like, oh, this person doesn't exist in this age, or really technical like stuff that they.
I mean, I'm sure there's always those people. The purists.
The people we'll see at the Rose City Comic Con tomorrow.
Right.
You are going to get jumped by some nerds.
I've been to like one not Comic Con, and I really want to find like a balcony and just be like, nerds.
You should dress up like that guy.
Yeah.
That would be funny, actually.
Ogre.
So, it's supposedly like one of the most expensive shows ever made. Did it look expensive?
I mean, visually, yeah, it's amazing. The acting, kind of split bag, I felt like. And I don't know, some of the story was okay. There's one very, like, racial story, because there's, like, one black elf and, like, one white woman. And it feels like it's, like, a 1950s story of forbidden love or something. I'm like, it doesn't really fit. I don't really want this storyline in here, I guess. But it's also weird the way they put black people, because it's not like it's like, I don't know, you got all these white people and then you got one random really black person. He's like, shouldn't you guys, you've been living together for a while, shouldn't you be like at least a similar color? Like, even if you want some brown people, be like, oh yeah, these characters are brown. It feels like it's a little bit jarring. It just feels weird.
Like, I don't mind those stories, but like they don't have the punch of like Captain Kirk and Uhura, like, hooking up in the 60s,
Right, like it was like something at one point.
Right.
And now we're like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're somebody that has mixed race children. It's like, it's for someone like you, it's like,
yeah,
and so many people, nobody really cares anymore. I mean, I guess like the assholes that do care are loud, but like there's not very many of them when you really look at it.
I mean, I guess if you want to push it, you could make them both like chicks with dicks or something. I don't know. Let's push the envelope as far as they'll go.
I mean, that'd be more interesting, I think.
I don't know. It's just like you want an action adventure story.
Right.
You don't need a bunch of like pseudo-political stuff.
It's okay for it to be saying something more, but if it seems too heavy-handed, which a lot of things do.
But I mean, I don't know. I see potential there. There's some of the things I liked. Galadriel, like she's like the warrior princess, but like she's also commanding like a small, I don't know, 6 or 7 guys, so like a squad or something. But they all seem like inept, turds or whatever. They're just like, these 1,000,000-year-old elves who are supposed to have these huge skills, and they're all just like Three Stooge in it, and then she like rolls in and kicks everybody's ass, and you're like, oh, okay, well, at least somebody's good here.
I don't know, man. I could never get into Lord of the Rings. Like, even you could put all the black and brown people in it you want, but it just seems so English and white bread. Like, you could put 50 Cent in that show, and like I'll still think it's like it's so British. It's just so ugh.
Maybe that's a satire everyone's waiting for. Maybe that's the we need the big what do you call them? They're not satires. They're
I was going to say they've made fantasy satires. That movie Your Highness that came out a few years ago, which wasn't very good, but
Yeah.
I'd go specifically for the Lord of the Rings. Look for that big lawsuit.
man, I gotta say, like,
Parody. That's what
I missed the good spoof movies because, like, I feel like those people that made like Epic Movie and Date Movie and all those shitty ones, they kind of ruined that whole genre. But like back in the day when like Leslie Nielsen, some of his, and like I never saw Airplane, but like there was some in that era that were really good.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, Spaceballs, Naked Gun movies, But I feel like that genre is just kind of like,
Just waiting for a hero.
yeah, somebody out there smart enough to revive that genre and give us some good spoofs, I think.
Lord of the Rings definitely has got so much source material.
I think also, like, I appreciate, like, clever, smart humor, but, like, nothing makes me laugh like just silly, nonsensical bullshit that you don't see coming.
Well, that's the trick, is not seeing it coming.
Right.
I think that's why you laugh less as you get older. Is like
you've seen it
see
all
it coming.
Yeah.
You've seen it. You see what's coming, and you're like, yeah, I get it. Well done, well played.
Right. Yeah. I watched a few things. I did get around to watching Prey, the Predator. I guess prequel because it takes place hundreds of years ago. But
we forgot to mention this episode brought to you by alcohol.
But yeah, it was enjoyable enough. It's cool that they can take a property like that and kind of put it in different eras and time periods.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on it from like the premise and whatever, but yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Oh,
I actually have another recommendation from Apple Plus. I told you I started that show Foundation based off the Isaac Asimov books or whatever. Yeah. I finished season 1. Man, it's a damn good show. I ended up really liking it as well.
What's it on?
Apple.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll definitely watch more of that if they renew it. I did try. So there's this other show on Apple called For All Mankind that, like, some people I follow on Twitter were like, oh, this show is like amazing and like a sci-fi classic and in the making and all this. And like I watched the pilot and I'm like, it just really didn't grab me. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll go back. But basically the premise is like it's an alternate history where like the Russians win the space race. Like they get a guy on the moon first. But it seems like it's more...
The thing is, Russia did beat us to space, right?
Well, yeah, but they didn't beat us to the moon.
Right. We're like, well, we made it to the moon.
It's changing the goalpost every time.
Yeah.
But like, it seems like a show that if you're like one of those like NASA nerds that really gets off to like space stuff, like
Alternate history.
Right.
Stuff, yeah.
But like when I think of like space type, like I want people in spaceships meeting aliens and having those kind of adventures. Like a bunch of astronauts like working on fucking rockets. Like doesn't get it going for me.
It's like that the guy who got stuck on the space station because the Soviet Union collapsed. That poor son of a bitch.
But yeah, I think basically the only other thing I watched was She-Hulk, which we will get into. But before we get into She-Hulk, guys, should we do a round of stories?
Sure.
Should we get into it? So anyone who hasn't watched or listened, we're going to go around the table. Everyone's going to bring a wacky news story to the table, and we'll see if we can't just make it something funny and or entertaining out of it. And as tradition dictates, AJ, we usually start with you. So what do you got for us?
All right. A mom was left horrified and baffled after she discovered a bag of crystal meth in her kid's breakfast cereal. 25-year-old Hassam Nasser was given Golden Morn cereal to her 4 children back in June when she found a bag of mysterious substance in a bag within the box.
He did clean the whole house, though.
Yeah, you don't want to give kids meth. You want to give them like some
you want
a downer. You can get some heroin or something.
Yeah, give them like an edible. Don't do any of those things. After trying to
disclaimer.
After trying to pour out the cereal to no avail, she reached in and pulled out the bag. Before a quick Google revealed that she appeared to have found a bag of methamphetamine, which is a Class A drug. You'll no doubt remember the highly addictive substances from the TV program Breaking Bad. Obviously, she was shocked at the discovery. She contacted the police, who confirmed her worst fear. Hassam from Essex rushed her kids to the hospital to check that they hadn't ingested any of the substance, but mercifully they were discovered to be fine. She said, "It was so bad, I was really shocked. It was massive. It took up nearly half the box. Dang, that's a lot of meth." She got a bunch of meth in this. I felt really frightened. My anxiety went off the roof. There were 450 grams of it. The street value would be quite something. Imagine if that burst, it could have had a deadly impact. It could have ended so badly. They'd been eating cereal from that box for 4 days straight, and the bag of crystal meth was really thin. A sharp piece of cereal could have easily made a hole in it. My eldest is very independent and gets her own cereal. She could have easily eaten it. I was having these heartbreaking thoughts. I could have gone from being a mom to blah, blah, them dying. When the police investigated what happened, they found a cut in the bottom of the box through which they had ascertained that the bag was likely inserted. Hassam was understandably horrified. Blah, blah. Letter read, "It appears highly unlikely that the crystals were inserted at the factory. During production, this cannot be established for certain." But yeah, I mean, half a cereal box of crystal meth.
I wonder, like, if you ingested meth rather than like, because people usually they get high off it, they snort it or inject it. I wonder if eating it would actually get you high or it just like fuck you up.
Yeah, it's hard to say. There's a potential it'd break down in your stomach. I don't know.
Yeah, because I think for it to be effective, it needs to be in like your bloodstream, right? Like
some things do, because like I think
if it broke down, it might just pass through. But like, if it didn't break down, it's still going to get in your blood eventually.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think you were telling me once that like as long as you didn't have like an ulcer, like you could drink snake venom because like it has to get in your veins. If you drank it, you would just like the acid in your stomach would like digest it or whatever, and it wouldn't hurt you. So I don't know, certain drugs maybe would be like that too. I don't know.
It's possible. Yeah, I don't know.
Of course, I think meth is a pretty harsh like mixture of chemicals, so I'm sure like it would still like fuck you up some way.
I don't know. We've got pretty harsh digestive tracts.
It would maybe just give you like a raging case of the shits. I don't know.
I don't know how the stomach works, but yeah, that acid inside there is very corrosive. Like,
yeah, I guess humans have a pretty strong acidity.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
What a strange system our bodies are. Like we have this like pit in us that's filled with just like this crazy acid.
Well, what's scary about our bodies is that there's no like intelligence behind our design. Like it's just whatever happened to like keep you going at that point, you know? Like, oh, okay, having this certain thing like helps you stay alive in this time period. And like all these things are part of our body, these weird evolutions, but like they might be the reason we die in the future because like, you know, we're stuck with them. We can't do anything about it. We might be like, yeah. We've gotten to the point where we can like alter our own genetics and maybe we can like create humans that could survive any condition or something. But
That's the way we like survive climate change is like we don't actually fix the climate. We just fucking like
gills.
Yeah. We get gills and like fucking like radiation proof skin and fucking like, okay, we're ready for that Mad Max world that's coming.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We all just look like the Abomination.
Yeah, exactly. What do you got for us in the old manifesto this week?
Well, Americans have Florida, man. India has random small villages. 3 lightning victims buried in cow dung for cure. 2 die. But apparently this isn't the first time this happens. This is some kind of like...
Hey, but 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
this is some sort of like, you know, mom's tale cure from the backwoods.
Now... Okay, let's say 2 survived. Then would they give some credence to this practice?
I don't know. I think if any of them die, it's not the best.
It depends if you're an optimist or a pessimist.
2 shits full.
Yeah.
Johnny and Leroy, they buried themselves in shit. Annie died.
Like, were they in critical condition from the lightning strikes or something?
I mean, I think mostly lightning strike, what happens is like the people who die is just like essentially a heart attack. Like if it hits you at a certain time, like your heart can stop.
Oh.
But if your heart's not working, I wouldn't think you'd take the time to go get a wheelbarrow of cow shit. Be like, this motherfucker needs some CPR.
Yeah, I would think they were already pretty much dead before they threw them in there. Because if somebody was in critical condition, normally your first thought would be the hospital.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm not making this up, but I swear to God, when I was a kid, I saw some TV show where it was talking about people getting struck by lightning. And I want to say there was like these weird, like rare cases where like people got struck by lightning. Like I want to say there was like this guy with a vision problem and it like actually helped him or something.
There's always these stories.
Yes, it was like
a miraculous cure.
Yeah, like lightning like gave him superpowers or something. I don't know. It's like maybe I'm making it up, or maybe it was a real show that was just bullshit. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing too. I remember like shit when I was a kid where they have like a movie trailer and it'd be like based on a true story, and I'm like, holy shit! I didn't know aliens were real in real life.
Yeah,
goddamn,
that's
it
true.
Proves it.
Back then, like you didn't know like how bullshit that phrase was, like based on a true story.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like there really was a guy named John.
Now you have to be like so cynical of all that stuff.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe anything except what I want to believe.
Let's see, anything more on that one?
If you ever get hit by lightning, I'll definitely bury them. Maybe that should just be a video.
Well, speaking of poop, I smell a mystery on our hands here.
Is this Scooby-Doo related?
No.
Pile of shit.
No, but we might have to get them on the case. Vermont town is scrambling to find the mysterious poop dumper. If any of our listeners are in Vermont, maybe you can help solve this case. It's never nice when somebody leaves garbage all over a public space, but at least in most cases, the trash is just empty drink bottles and cans, food wrappers, takeaway boxes, stuff that's fairly easy to clean. But the town of Bolton, Vermont is struggling with a different kind of waste. Somebody keeps dumping into Bolton's green spaces, literally. Up to the writing of this story, both passerby and officials have on several occasions discovered bags containing human bodily waste in Bolton Woods. And we're not
They
talking.
bag it up.
Yeah, we're not talking.
Bag it up.
We're not talking about just a couple of turds. All in all, someone has left hundreds of pounds worth of poop in Bolton's forest. Every time sanitation authorities clean the mess up, new bagfuls of crap will soon appear. Needless to say, everybody in town is pretty fed up with the situation. Now, both local and state officials are upping their efforts to find the serial dumper. They don't want to throw the person in jail, mind you. They just want to offer help to a person who clearly needs it.
I bet it's somebody who's like broke and like their plumbing stopped working years ago, and they're just like they just shit in a bag, and then like in their evening walk, they're like, whoop.
I think I have a good idea of who it is. It's these van life people.
You're like, I've got a cousin over there.
No,
I swear this motherfucker is this is the type of guy.
I see these people on TikTok all the time. Like these van life people, like they say they run out of AC or their water stops working.
That makes sense.
And they have to go in a bucket, and it's just it's
Vermont
disgusting.
seems like the type of place though, like if they saw a van park somewhere, they'd be like, you need to fuck off.
Yeah, that's true.
You need to fuck right off.
You're New Jersey people. The dumping was first discovered earlier this spring. In May, volunteers from the Green Mountain Club, a nonprofit organization maintaining Vermont's long trail hiking route, were preparing to start cleaning the trail for the hiking season. Near a suspension footbridge that crosses Winooski River, which runs by Bolton, one volunteer made an unpleasant discovery. Someone had been using the side of the long trail as their personal dumping ground. Dozens of black trash bags lay on the ground along the trail. Thinking it was just someone's household garbage, the volunteer went to take a look. It was poop. Pounds upon pounds of poop.
I took Jai one day, like he desperately wanted to just go like clean up like trash, and so we went for a walk, and I gave him gloves, and like I was carrying the trash bag, and he's picking up all this stuff, and there's some dog shit. And I was like, "Yeah, go grab that."
Did he do it?
He did it. Oh my god, he's a very moral kid. That one.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't have to pick up dog poop.
Yeah.
It's biodegradable.
I was like, you wanted to go for this one.
You got to give him one of those pokey sticks the convicts have at least.
Yeah, one little pickup sticks. You don't want to perforate the bag, though.
That was more than one volunteer could handle. They alerted the Green Mountain Club, and the site was cleared up with additional help. Our thanks to the Green Mountain Club for mobilizing 10 volunteers who spent hours cleaning up the 400-plus pounds of feces and toilet paper. Amy Grover, Bolton Town
400
Clerk.
pounds. How? You have to be going for a while.
That's what I'm saying. Even if it's these van life people, like, that's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
They gotta be dumping something like their entire septic tank or whatever.
The thing is, like, you know, like people out walking on this trail. It's somebody. It's like the person you never suspect. It's like some like little old lady. She's walking out there. Da-da-da-da-da.
She's got 400 pounds of shit.
Yeah.
Was she
It's
Superman?
it's like a year's worth of shits.
Now, like, do you think this sounds like something like maybe we would do as stupid kids, like me, you, and our cousins?
It'd be something you do like once or twice. It's not like, hey guys, now this is gonna take some doing. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're all gonna shit in bags. Okay, we're gonna tie it up, and we're gonna sneak out there, and we're gonna throw that away. And no, here's the thing. We're not going to do it once. We're going to do this every fucking day. Who's on board? Hey! Yeah.
And we'll never get caught. After the incident, the Bolton Select Board, the town's health officer...
Encyclopedia Brown in the case of the forest full of shits.
We got our title.
It might be something like that, yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
And the Conservation Commission gathered to find a way to prevent such a thing from happening again. They decided to put up no dumping signs.
But you need to put out some trail cams. You got to catch this person.
That ought to take care of the problem, right? It hasn't stopped. What? The signs did absolutely nothing. What a shocker. The poop dumping has continued all through the summer, according to Bolton Town official. We all hoped that the dumping had stopped. It hasn't, said Grover. Black garbage bags filled with human feces and large amounts of toilet paper continue to be dumped in the same vicinity on Duxbury Road.
Garbage bags. This kind of changes the picture for me a little bit because I was thinking like, one of these little dog shit bags.
No, they're filling like garbage bags.
They've got like a trash bag or like a trash can. They're
See, it doesn't seem like
it
could be just one person.
Yeah.
Unless they're somehow collecting other people's feces.
And how are... Yeah,
well, now
the
I'm feeling like you
logistics.
put a trash can in like a 5-gallon bag and you just shit till it's full and then you throw it over your shoulder and you're like, hi-ho, hi-ho. Ugh!
But again, like, this has to be feces from more than one person.
It could be. It could be a household.
Man, even a household, like, it'd take a while to fill up a whole trash
Well,
bag,
here's what
wouldn't
you do. You got all this shit, so you just send a sample to Ancestry, and then you're like, people start popping up, and you're like, oh, it's such and such's half sister.
See,
And then you get on Facebook and you track them down and be like, I know it was you, motherfucker.
See, that's why I hate that you did Ancestry, because now I can't do poop crimes. Because
They'll be like, this person is definitely a direct sibling of Lester Jones.
some of the bags are being dragged off by animals. Oh, man. Ripped open and their contents spewed on folks' properties.
I just feel bad for those animals.
Keegan Tierney, director...
They put out the trail cams, right? And then they just have like this raccoon eating a turd.
Probably. He's like the happiest raccoon ever.
Yeah. He's like, score.
Keegan Tierney, director of field programs at the Green Mountain Club, said their volunteers had carried out 3 cleanups near the footbridge where the crap was originally found. Fortunately, the club is well equipped to handle human waste. They maintain several toilets along the long trail to help hikers relieve themselves when nature calls. As such, they have all the necessary equipment to protect volunteers from all the grossness, and they dispose of the poop bags. Still, with the continued dumping, everybody's getting frustrated with the situation. Now the town, Green Mountain Club, and Vermont state officials are pleading with the public to let them know if they noticed anyone dumping poop by the long trail. Better yet, they're asking the culprit themselves to come forward and turn themselves in.
You'll never catch me.
You know what I want it to be? It's like, you know how in The Dark Knight, like the Joker gets captured on purpose? I want this guy to get captured on purpose, and it's all just to somehow take a big shit in the, like, the police station. We don't know how to connect with or how to stop whoever is doing the dumping, said Grover. But the officials also stressed that the dumper has nothing to worry about. No one is seeking to prosecute, arrest, or fine them, they emphasize. According to Grover, Bolton authorities think they know why somebody's dumping their waste in the woods. They think it's simply a case of someone having a broken septic tank system and not having the funds to fix it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
According to the WCAX news outlet, a new septic system can cost as much as $40,000, and repairs aren't much cheaper. The regulatory landscape can be difficult to navigate sometimes. Access to resources aren't always equal, and then the cost can be pretty costly depending on what's needed, said Megan Casino from the Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation. Because of the exorbitant cost, Vermont has in place a program to help low-income residents pay for new septic systems. They just need to come forth and apply for aid. That's what they're now hoping the poop dumper would do. Our goal is to help get the system fixed and make sure that people have a safe, clean environment to live in, said Casino.
Don't do it. That's how they catch you.
It's all a trick. I mean, he's fertilizing the trail. He's helping, really.
Actually, you know how they've done those things where, like, they're trying to catch certain people, so they send out things saying like they won the lottery or something, and then they all show up at this hotel and get arrested. They're gonna do that with this.
Yeah. Can you imagine that that meeting? He's like, we're putting together a task force. O'Leary, Johnson.
I want you to check every outhouse, dog house, that whole line. Oh man. So yeah, man. I hope there's a um, a future revisit to this story. Like,
Yeah.
once they catch the guy.
Yeah. Brown-handed.
Oh, that would be a good title. Maybe Caught Brown-Handed.
They do a movie about him. It all started when.
Well, guys, all this talk is shit. Should we review She-Hulk?
That was a good segue.
Actually, to be fair, I didn't dislike this episode as much as last week's with all the twerking and such.
We're
but it's
slowly
still,
getting less dislikable.
Yeah.
well, I like the first two episodes a lot better than either of
number
these
3.
episodes. But
Oh, okay.
you know what? I think I finally kind of put my finger on what I'm not liking about this show. Is I think it has cartoon logic. Like, if you told me the writers of this show were cartoon writers, I think I would believe it. Not that I love cartoons, but like some of the characters are written so broadly, and then I feel like sometimes things are just written for jokes, even though they make no sense in like a real world situation. Even though the MCU isn't, quote unquote, the real world, but don't you guys think there's just like some weird like things that go on in this show that makes you shake your head? That you're like,
Well, there's a lot of like storylines that just feel like dead ends, like pushed in, and like there's no overarching story that feels consistent.
that's the other thing. I'm like, some of these episodes just feel like things happen, but there doesn't seem to be like an overriding like story that's going on.
I think you're right. I think they just have a list of like little story elements they think they might like, and then they squish them together, and they're like, "There we go. That fills out our 20 pages." We have to increase the font size by a few. Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. So this episode 4, is entitled "Is This Not Real Magic?" So we'll open up on a like kind of a bad magic show. Not many people in the audience. This
Bad Magic would be a good name for something.
bad magic.
Got that bad magic.
This magician named Donnie Blaze, which I assume is kind of like an Easter egg nod to Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that at all. Damn.
I mean, I would assume so, right?
Makes sense.
Is it Ghost Rider for what?
Ghost Rider, the Marvel
Ghost
character.
Rider.
Yes. His name is Johnny Blaze.
Okay,
This guy's name, Donnie Blaze.
I got it.
Coincidence?
I got you. It's all coming together in the drunken haze of my. Oh no, I'm not drunk yet.
Speaking of drunk, he brings up a drunk girl who ends up being the Megan Thee Stallion of this episode, which is Madisynn with a Y, but you won't guess where the Y is. Or
Doesn't
whatever
it
the
also
fuck
have
she
2
says.
ends?
Yeah, and 2 ends.
2 ends. Yeah.
Yes.
Madisynn.
Anyway, he brings up this girl, and he like does this lame like fire trick that nobody likes, and so then his like weird like assistant guy who, you know what? He's like one of those characters that like, is he the devil?
Well, it's kind of strange. Like he's an old black guy,
Right.
and like he's always like on the defense for this guy who's obviously very bad.
Yeah, he's like his little personal sidekick or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Definitely a weird choice.
But like a very loyal like defender of this kind of like charlatan.
Right. So like his assistant's like, hey, do the thing or whatever. So he's like, all right. So we find out he has a sling ring. And so he uses a sling ring to like open a portal behind this drunk girl, and the crowd's like, oh, finally, like, yeah, this trick is cool. And so then we cut to Nepal, where Wong lives. He's having a lazy day watching The Sopranos when all of a sudden this drunk girl, like, the portal opens and she gets dumped there.
Now, to be honest, this seems like kind of like a fantasy life for if you could just be sitting on the couch being a potato or whatever, and some hot drunk shit just falls on your couch. Although she seems like I would really hate her.
Yeah, hopefully her story arc, this was it in this episode.
Well, you want to say that, but at the end it kind of feels like it's not.
It does kind of feel that way. Anyway, like, she's annoying, and she, like, spoils the Sopranos for Wong. And she also mentions, like, she was in this dimension between there where she had to, like, make a pact with, like, some goat, like, demon or something.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, that comes up later. She's like, well, I fell into this dimension with, like, or hell. Did she say hell? And then she's like, I had to make, a pact with a demon or something.
Yeah.
And then she gets dropped off with Wong. Completely random.
Very, very convenient. So then we go to Jen's apartment or whatever, and I wrote, Perfect Stranger's dad brings over a bunch of security stuff because, like, he finds out about her, like, attempted mugging last episode. Right. And she mentions that, like, she never, like, contacted the police because she knows the police in these cases would never, like, catch the bad guys.
Which is true. The cops are worthless. So
now we get a short scene of Jen at work. She creates a dating profile, and then Wong shows up in her office, and
why is this a story? Why is this in here? That's part of what we're talking about. It's like, oh, yeah, we need the dating stuff.
Well, I'm okay with them, like, examining her love life and having...
Yeah, I guess. I mean, to be honest, it was the better part of the show, I think.
But speaking of, like, cartoonily broad characters, we'll get into this, like, there's so many, like, men that are just, like, there's no nuance. They're,
uniformly bad.
Yes. I just thought I don't know, they could use a little, like, maybe a guy that's not completely terrible, that has degrees to him. But so yeah, Wong shows up in her office and he's complaining about this Donnie Blaze guy. He wants her to use the law to basically put an end to him because he says that, like, messing around with a sling ring can somehow, like, end all life on Earth, basically, if you fuck up too much.
Right, and does this make any sense? I mean, is there any reasonable, like, explanation why he would try to use the law? Why doesn't he just show up, take the sling ring, and be like, fuck off, retard?
I mean, it does seem like if it was that dangerous, it seems like just like him and Doctor Strange would just show up, easily take it from him, and be on their way.
Yeah. They'd go give it to somebody else at the academy.
Right.
Or the dojo, or I don't know what the fuck they do, but...
Like, he even says it later, like, I can just send him to a mirror dimension, he'll probably live, Like,
right.
Why didn't you just do that before?
It's like, they're trying to, like, play the game. They're like, we want to be lawful abiding citizens.
Right.
But, like, in the previous one, he's like, yeah, I broke the abomination out of jail. Completely illegally. Hasta la vista. I'll see you later when the law's convenient for me. It's weird and random. Yeah. I don't know. It's inconsistent.
And also, like, we see in the first Doctor Strange, at least, like, they've had, like, a ton of, like, students, right? And they're using the sling ring.
Yeah, there's like 100 people or something.
So, like, I assume at some point in their past, they've had to, like, go after a rogue person and deal with this issue. And so, it just seems like the whole premise doesn't make sense. But Jen kind of mentions, like, well, did this guy sign some sort of contract when he got the ring? And he's like, no. She's like, oh, okay, this might be difficult then or whatever, but I'll still take the case.
But they swore, like, some kind of oath or something.
Right.
Some verbal.
Yeah, and she's like, well, yeah, did you get this in writing or blah, 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 blah. So now her and Nikki are at a bar. She finishes making the cease and desist for Wong. And then, like, Nikki is, like, trying to get her a date. So, like, she takes her phone with the profile she made, and she's like, oh, you don't use your business photo for that. And she also mentions, like, oh, maybe you should make a She-Hulk profile. And she's also, like, swiping right on, like, a ton of guys to try to get her a match or whatever. So now the first area I wrote, Jen and Nikki are hit on by a stereotypical douchebag. And this is like the first of many. This is like kind of scummy guy that comes up to him.
He was just kind of like a generic, like, hitting on them, right? He wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I guess, but I don't know.
He was just some guy.
Yeah. Okay. So now we get a scene where She-Hulk serves Donnie and his assistant with the cease and desist, and just a short scene, like her and Wong there, and like he does a trick where he makes like a ball disappear, and then Wong like uses his magic to like make it show up or something.
Are we talking about the court scene?
No, this was before the court scene where they're just like in his little office, the four of them.
Oh, okay. Right, and the, yeah, so it's him and the black guy and then those two.
Yeah, and his assistant like kind of keeps like repeating what he says.
Yeah, everything he says, he just repeats back.
Like that baseball movie or whatever. Let's see, what else? Okay, so now Jen goes on. Okay, another broadly written guy. Jen goes out on a bad date with a guy with no job that checks out other girls and ignores her. He gets on his phone. He then doesn't pay for the drinks, and on this phone call refers to her as a 6. So like this guy, they're just like, let's hit every single thing we can.
Well, there's so many things that just don't feel right. Like the guy looks just like greasy and like unattractive, and so like I feel like an average to slightly above average. Like in real life, I'd call her what? Probably like a 7. I don't know. She isn't like a movie star, so.
I mean,
but
it's kind of gross to put numbers on people, but she's an attractive lady.
Yeah. I like being gross, but but yeah. So she goes out with this kind of scummy guy, and I feel like someone of her attractiveness on Tinder would get like enough hits from more attractive guys than that, at least. Like, even if she found like a scumbag, like it would have been better than that guy. Like, he was very
yeah, he didn't have a job. There's so many things wrong with him. You'd think she'd filter that out.
like he wasn't even trying to get laid. Like,
I mean, he did like put out that line where he's like, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur," and she's like, "Oh, really? Of what?" And he's like, "TBD."
yeah, what the?
So I don't know. I guess he was just really bad. And what was the weird like thing where like they were kind of having like a seemingly like a standoff of like who was gonna pay, and it was like I was like, are one of them just gonna bolt off? Like, what are they doing here? I wasn't sure.
Which is pretty much what he did.
Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, he showed up for a drink, I guess.
I don't. What do you think like about like the guys that are portrayed on this show?
I mean, there's some good one. There was that good one later on. So I mean, it's hit and miss. I guess they're mostly assholes. I think.
Bruce has been the best guy so far. Bruce.
Yeah, she should get together with him.
Yeah. Hulk smash.
Okay. So now the courtroom scene. So Jen, So Jen calls Madisynn from earlier as a witness for this trial, and so Wong uses the sling ring. And here's the thing: like, this is another cartoon logic thing, where apparently this woman's 24/7 drunk and partying.
Well, like, they didn't even like prepare the case or even like apparently tell her that she was going to be there. Right. They're like, oh yeah, we'll just open a portal, bring her in, and we'll see how it goes.
Also, like, I'm assuming like she's in the same time zone as them. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, but like you figure the courtroom thing takes place in the daytime, and she's like at a nightclub, like dancing and stuff. So again, like, no logic there. But yeah, conveniently, like, she's this drunk party woman, like 24/7. Apparently, she's like the Slurms Mackenzie or whatever from that Futurama episode.
Slurms Mackenzie.
I wrote, the judge allows this. Like someone who's clearly drunk, they're going to allow to be a witness. Like this, again, cartoon logic. This would never fucking happen. Madisynn tells the story of how she had to make a pact with a demon and all that stuff. Okay, this is another thing I fucking hated. Donnie starts doing magic tricks in the courtroom. And then not only is he doing them, his assistant and his fucking lawyer start doing magic tricks. And this is one thing I noticed that this show does occasionally that I hate, is they'll have a character acknowledge the stupid writing that's going on, but it's like, so like the lawyer, what I'm talking about is the lawyer starts doing the magic and she's like, is the lawyer doing magic too? And it's like having your character acknowledge your shitty writing does not excuse your shitty writing. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you shouldn't have wrote the lawyer doing that because it's fucking stupid and it makes no sense. You know what I mean? And
I mean, if I wanted a lawyer, that guy, because they did make it look like the argument was possibly just illogical. It's like, you want to stop us from being stupid and doing really bad, shitty magic? Come on.
Well, at least
we're obviously retards.
At least on this show, you know, I talked about how I hated that on the last episode. Like they had that one guy's whole trial stem to stern in one episode. At least this one, the judge was like, okay, I'm going to ponder about this for 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
We're not going to finish it right here. But then like Donnie was like, or I think Wong was like, well, can you at least like say this guy can't, you know, use a sling ring during this time? And he's like, hey, I need to make money. This is my livelihood. And the judge agrees to that. So she's allowing him to still do his magic. Now Jen makes a profile as She-Hulk and instantly starts getting a ton of matches. So now we got this montage where I said She-Hulk has a montage of bad dates and then finally one good date. So again,
yeah, that was pretty much, yeah.
This is just, again, the guys on this show is just like, you know, comically shitty, you know, guys, I guess.
Yeah, and she finally gets to the good guy who's like a muscular. Was he a podiatrist? Is he a podiatrist? Is it?
Yeah, he's like
I forget if it's feet or kids.
Medicine doctor for kids or something.
Kids, but like even later, like you said, like the self-referencing, like when he ditches her or whatever, she's like, "Oh, good-looking doctor." What a cliche.
Right.
Like, oh yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. Acknowledging like the cliche. Yeah. So now we go back to Donnie Blaze on stage again, and his assistant now is like a friend of Madisyn's. I'm like, why would she be going back to this show? And like, he uses the sling ring again, and she's like, oh no, I'm not getting in there. My friend like ended up going somewhere bad last week or something. And I'm like, why would she be at this show again at all? Right. Like, who's going to this guy's show? So he uses the sling ring to make this bird appear. And then like the bird goes in like the woman's hand and it lays an egg, which then gives birth to like this gremlin type monster.
Yeah, a little demon.
Yeah. He tries to get rid of the monster by sending it through another portal, but then it comes back out with a bunch more gremlins. So now Donnie portals to Wong to get his help. And Wong's like, call my lawyer. Again, jeez. So now we go to Jen's date. She's getting hot and heavy with this guy on the couch, but her phone keeps interrupting her. Finally, Wong shows up in a portal to get Jen's help, or, you know, She-Hulk's help, basically. And kind of, you know, gets in the middle of her date. Wong and She-Hulk send all the monsters back into a portal. There's like a big fight scene where like she's grabbing up a bunch of these little things, throwing them in the portal. Wong's using his like magic leash to round some up and throw them. A couple of them grow to a bigger size, and she has to beat them as well.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like they hit them, they get bigger or something. But also they're like, well, he opens that second portal, so they're throwing him out into like some place while he's trying to close the one demon portal, and then they throw all the demons back into like some other realm. I'm like, well, that seems kind of like a little messy, maybe.
You know, at one point she like steps on one, and like I think like this slime comes out, but she's like, oh, they're like immortal or invincible or something, right? It doesn't. I think it would be funnier if she was just like stomping these things into oblivion.
Right? We threw some back out, but yeah, we did smash some. It's you know,
I mean, she's a Hulk. She's got to smash.
Hulk can't even smash these little cute little demon things.
I don't even remember, like, when they finish this up, do they get the sling ring from the magician guy? Like, does he give it up?
He like promises to never use magic again. I don't know if he gave it up though.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Probably not.
Do you guys think we'll see Donnie Blaze on a future episode?
Yeah, maybe.
Somewhere down the road.
The redemption arc of Johnny Blaze.
So now She-Hulk goes back. She, like, portals, like, right on top of her date. And they get... she bangs her date. Like, she carries him to the old bedroom. So the next morning... well, first, she, like, gets a call from her friend and, like, finds out that Titania is apparently free. Like, her Kool-Aid manning through the courtroom wall didn't stick, I guess.
Right.
So she's in her apartment.
Oh yeah,
she's in her apartment as just like regular Jen. And this is another stupid thing. So this guy comes in and he's like, "Who are you?" Here's the thing. Like, she's a minor celebrity at least, right?
Yeah, he should have some idea.
There's no fucking way if this guy matched and got a date with her that he wouldn't have Googled She-Hulk and found out that she was her. There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of this logic. There's no logic in some of these.
So yeah, it was, and so again, even this guy that we thought maybe would be more, no, he just ends up being an asshole too. That's like, oh, I'm totally uninterested in you. I only care about She-Hulk, and he fucking leaves.
These are like, it's essentially like seeing a woman without her makeup or something. Like, oh, yeah,
Which
I'm
like,
out.
okay, let's pretend
Hard
like
pass.
he's really horny for She-Hulk, but not so much her. I think most guys would just be like, oh, well, can you just be her when I'm around?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll be horny again later. You can change back, right?
and like you said, it's not like Tatiana Maslany is a bad looking woman.
Right.
You know, it's like silly.
Yeah, that was pretty random.
So then a guy comes to the door and is serving Jen legal papers. And apparently Titania is suing Jen because she owns the copyright to She-Hulk.
Well, like apparently, like she trademarked it as like probably the second, it came on the news or whatever.
I mean, I don't know anything about copyright and trademark law, but like, can you do that? Like, if she didn't like invent the term, like she just immediately was like, "Oh, I'm going to copyright that," because I mean,
Maybe, yeah,
I-
something like that.
I don't know the law, but I'm thinking that's probably bullshit. Oh, and then like she breaks the fourth wall and she's like, "Oh, this is a bad way to end an episode, but I bet there's a good tag." And then the tag ends up being Wong and Madisynn watching Sopranos and talking about different types of booze.
So, what's awkward there is they're forming some kind of relationship that feels bad.
I mean, I would love it if they're just like straight up like Wong and Madisynn are banging, but I think they're establishing it more as like a friend relationship.
I don't know. I think they might get down and dirty at some point.
I mean, hopefully. The only way, if they bring her back, that's the only context I want her in.
Yeah, I mean, in Multiverse of Madness, Sarah, that she died, that black lady who was stabbing the book.
Oh yeah.
I think she might have been his love interest before. I'm not sure though.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
If Wong had a love interest. Maybe I should watch Multiverse of Madness again. I've forgotten some of it.
Wong has just like a weird existence. Like he's in and out of universes. Sometimes he's fighting good. Sometimes he's just like apparently watching The Sopranos with some drunk chick.
I feel like he's usually the comic relief.
Yeah.
Whether it's for Doctor Strange or She-Hulk or what, you know.
I don't know. I think that's funny.
I do find it weird, though, that, you know, we're almost halfway through this series. And, like...
We don't know who the bad guy is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I assume Titania, but, like, we've only seen her for, like, a half a second.
And then, like, she's also just showing up and it's like, oh, this is the passive-aggressive villain.
I know, that's not even, like a compelling, like, thing. Oh, she's suing her.
Well, now, you know, it's going to have to go to the courtroom. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that's going to be super
Like,
boring.
they're going to have to escalate it into actual violence, right? I mean, otherwise it's nothing.
I mean, I assume at some point they
She's going to
do.
be like, I won the copyright infringement law.
That's the end of She-Hulk.
And Titania's like, oh, darn it. Now what am I going to do?
I will say, like, this show is unpredictable in that, like, when we saw the first show, we were like, oh, that spaceship, I bet that's going to be something interesting. And then they're like, nope.
They're like, yeah, that's the plot device we used to get rid of the Hulk.
And then, like, you know, they were trying to get her blood, so I was like, oh, Titania's probably going to try to get that, and then she'll, like, She-Hulk out, and then there'll be a big She-Hulk versus She-Hulk type thing, which could still happen. But it wouldn't surprise me if we find out down the line that, nope, that was another weird subplot with somebody else that we don't get to see the resolution to or something. I don't know. It's like the shoe thief they set up in Miss Marvel that they never paid off.
Encyclopedia Brown in the case of the shoe thief.
There's shit on these shoes.
It is weird, and also they didn't advance the Abomination anything in this episode.
Yeah, I noticed that too. They didn't touch on the Emil Blonsky story. I don't know.
Do you even think they're going to bring him back?
I hope so.
They can't abandon it.
I mean, we kind of saw his story. He was in prison. She got him out of prison. Maybe that's his whole story arc. That wouldn't surprise me.
No,
I mean,
he's got
the whole thing can't just be like shitty law cases, right?
The one thing I could see them, like, maybe, like, she gets in trouble somehow, and he's like, oh, I have to break my ankle bracelet to become Abomination and, like, pay her back and save her.
Yeah,
maybe something
Bruce isn't there.
because Bruce isn't there. Yeah, I could see something like that. Maybe.
I mean, there's always going to be this struggle for me. Is like, no superhero really needs to like pay homage to the law, other than voluntarily. Which, at that point, who the fuck gives a shit?
My prediction though is if we see him again, it's max one episode. Like he might come in at the end and save her or something. But I don't think he's going to play a big part.
But he doesn't even have to redeem himself because he's already come off as like...
Yeah, he's kind of already redeemed. I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think I actually want him to be a bad guy. I need something.
It would be nice to have someone to root against, I guess.
But the thing is, like, apparently he could have left and just been a shithead the entire time, so... And, like, if he was, like, a piece of shit, why would Wong be partners with him? And so it doesn't make sense that he's...
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make him, like, a piece of shit. I think he's on the side of the Angels now.
So we need, like, a compelling villain. So that only leaves Titania.
And I don't think they're going to make her compelling.
No.
Well, she's certainly not
she's
compelling
not compelling
yet.
at all. I hope the villain is somebody we haven't seen yet, because so far the characters that we've seen aren't menacing.
Someone we haven't seen.
I mean,
it's got to be.
I mean, plus Titania's backstory is that she's like some sort of like social media star, right?
Yeah, something like that. She has some fashion.
I mean, I assume this next episode we're going to have to get some of her story, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it was leading to. alluding to.
But
But I mean, if they're caught up in this really stupid court case, why would she do something else?
I mean, the most action we've seen is episode 1 with the fight between her and Bruce, and even that was just like kind of a we need action. Like, let's give them a bullshit reason to fight.
I think it's
I'm
going to
so
be
lost. It's like, even like, so many story arcs are somewhat predictable. They follow a certain, some type of archetypical, like, there are things you do to set up a story of a certain type, and it's just like the elements aren't there.
Well, I think there was a little bit in this episode. Like, you know how she was attacked in the last episode at the very end? And then there was a date where she had a guy asking her if vibranium could pierce her skin. And I think he's related to those guys. I get the feeling. So, like...
Who asked about vibranium?
One of her dates asked her, like, hey, can vibranium pierce your skin? Like, nothing
Oh,
can?
that's right. He was kind of like a nerdy kind of like...
Yeah, I thought he was used as like a commentary on comic book nerds, kind of.
Oh, I thought he was trying to, like, really find out.
That kind of makes sense that he is like kind of feeling out. Yeah, you might be right.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, I hope you're right, because that would make him like more interesting and not just like this.
He's kind of like a some kind of like subtle.
I kind of think
villain.
he was just a throwaway character, but
I thought he was a throwaway, but maybe you're right. Maybe he's like something bigger in the background.
I don't know. I'm still gonna guess he's a throwaway, but maybe we'll find out he's like working for a villain.
Yeah,
That'd be more interesting.
it would be. It would be actually something.
It'd be something. You're right. There's like maybe these shorter like episodes make it hard for them to make like a through line. I don't know, but it does seem like these last 2 episodes is just like things happened, but there's no like overall.
Yeah, there's no big story.
There's no overarching big story. It's just like these small stories that just happen that don't really, it's like, what do they call them? Bottle episodes or whatever?
Oh, right.
I feel like whatever they're doing, it's a slightly different structure than I feel like I've seen anywhere, because they're trying to take like the big story arcs like you might see in The Sopranos or like Breaking Bad or something. Like, you've got this whole series, but at the same time they're trying to make it also like a like a Seinfeld episode or something. He's like these serialized like it just fits together weird. It's like it's not getting the best of either of the worlds.
I'm getting that sense though that just like when we were watching Miss Marvel and we were maybe like 3 or 4 episodes in and we're like, how are they going to get anything compelling in a couple more episodes?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of feeling that now where it's like, and we got more episodes in this show, but I'm like already like leery of like, how are they going to make something compelling?
How are they going to build anything
in the 5 episodes they have left? And I don't know, like, it seems like this episode and last episode just seemed like stalling episodes. Like, I don't think they contributed much of anything.
Yeah, they've just got random ideas and they're just throwing them in together. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, what did you guys think? Please tell it. If we're wrong, comment and let us know. I'm honestly curious what people are thinking of this show, because like, again, like I feel like most of the people I follow on Twitter, just like with Miss Marvel, are liking this show, and I'm like, okay.
I know the Rotten Tomato stuff looks okay. I think the audience score is a little lower than the critic score, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm surprised by that. On my YouTube, I saw quite a few like people who were dissatisfied with the show, but maybe that's just critics, like, YouTubers like us, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes, I think maybe the way they do their scores isn't very good, because basically they take the people who say, yeah, this is probably slightly better than a 5, and they group those together and say, oh, these are positive reviews. And they take people below that and they say, oh, these are negative reviews. So it kind of looks like a show that pretty much everyone thinks is okay can get a pretty high score.
Right.
And it's not necessarily a great indication of where it actually is. But then also you're getting like the Rings of Power, like Amazon owns, what is it, IMDb?
Oh, I don't know.
And so basically they just scrapped a bunch of the shitty reviews. So it's weird to navigate like the rating systems out there.
I've never really looked at IMDb reviews, but I heard that like they're basically useless.
Yeah. I think Metacritic is probably the better one out there because, they kind of make a rating on 1 to 100 and they take different people's scores and kind of get an average. And I think that's a little better indication.
I've heard even they kind of like will weight like certain outlets more than others too. They do kind of a weird calculation as well.
Yeah, I think like their calculation is proprietary, but I think it's a little more accurate than others.
Honestly, like to me, Rotten Tomatoes I think would be better if, and I think somewhere like at least on like the desktop version of Rotten Tomatoes, like you can find out what the actual like average score of each movie is rather than the tomato.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Like it's based on 1 to 10 or something.
Right. Whereas like this whole tomato meeting like rating where like, oh, if they gave it a 6 out of 10 or higher, that's considered fresh. Where like basically if that to me like it's somewhat of an indication of whether a movie's good or not. But I'd rather just see like what is the average score. To me that would be a better indicator.
It is a better indicator. Because like I was saying, like sometimes everyone thinks, okay, this is a 6 or whatever, and they're like, okay, this is fresh. Everybody likes it. Whereas maybe something else, like most of them are like, oh, this is a 5-star, and like maybe there's a couple 1-stars or something, and they rate them essentially the same. So yeah, I don't know.
I saw some people kind of criticizing people like us would be like, oh, we didn't like She-Hulk because the twerking and everything. But like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we're given like salient points about the writing. That, like,
I don't think it's about the twerking. That's not like what completely.
I didn't hate the twerking.
I mean, I guess I did use that as kind of like the thumbnail. And
yeah.
But we
it's just a funny.
We're not above clickbaiting,
right?
Yeah. Look,
it's not even clickbaiting. I mean, we did like get into it, but
I've been known to watch women twerk. Okay, so.
You've also been known to watch Lil Nas twerking.
If anybody's ever seen this video, they've seen him twerking.
I hadn't seen it, but I was guessing.
Oh, it's a lot worse than just twerking.
All right, are we done with this thing now? But yeah, please, comment down below. If you will, please subscribe both to the YouTube channel and on your podcast service of choice. Leave us thumbs up. If you will, give us positive, reviews. That helps in the algorithm. And then come on over and have a discussion with us on Twitter, in the Badlands of Twitter. Guys, where can people find you?
At a name for this too, and that's the number 2.
Do you remember, or are you too drunk?
I was going to make some kind of Encyclopedia Brown ad, like, at turdsintheforest.com. But at unsolicited SUG.
And you can, of course, find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZACH. Jesus. JONES.
Yo, who's talking shit now?
I was like thinking about it too hard. It's been a long day. But anyway, that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans in the poppycock this week. Please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.